they're not sitting on their phone like captivated by something we've delivered in a
Yes.
digital realm. They'd rather be watching what's in front of them. And so there's got to be a balance there. And part of our process is, how do you continue an engagement in Roblox that's meaningful to end users, to fans, over the course of its life cycle, whatever that is, right?
Welcome back to Brands and Play, your podcast for everything immersive marketing. I'm Albane Prioux, strategic marketing consultant.
And I'm Nick Hill, co-founder and chief innovation officer at Sawhorse. And this week on the show, we got K-pop demon hunters coming to Fortnite. The new Gen AI social apps are here. Netflix tries once again to make their own games. And Meta's plan to fully automate the advertising industry.
And for a real-time review, we'll be heading to the kitchen of the Great British Bake Off, who has launched on Roblox.
All that, and Albane will be sitting down with Christian Lau, CTO at the Los Angeles Football Club, to find out how the club is leveraging immersive tech to connect deeper with fans.
That's right. And also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to make sure that you never miss an episode. Let's get into it.
Let's go. Albane, what's up? How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing well. A lot of stuff going on. Did you realize that this is the 35th episode?
No, actually, I saw. I stopped counting. But my God, 35th. Woohoo! Yeah, yes.
35. No big deal.
35.
You know, like who knew that we'd actually be following through? We said we wanted to get through 1 year, 52
Yep.
episodes. We're 35 in, and I'm super proud.
I feel like we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. This is an achievable goal now.
No doubt. We see a light at the end of the tunnel. This week is advertising week
Yes.
in New York City, and I gotta say I'm having major FOMO. What
Can you
about
not
you?
go this year?
I'm not gonna go. I was just in New York last week for
Okay,
meetings,
fair.
so but out of all the conferences, it's one of those that is important to what we do.
Of
And
course,
for the
yeah.
first year, they have like a gaming summit, which is a whole gaming component that they're kind of growing. And I'm bummed. I want to be there.
Yeah, I would love to go as well. Like I had a lot of messaging as people asking me if I was going, but I was like, I'm not gonna go to New York just for Ad Week,
You
sadly.
know,
But I'm excited. Let's see. I don't know if we can have a replay or if they communicate anything after post the event, but let's see.
maybe we can interview somebody involved in the
That's been
in
there.
the
Like, what was the talk?
organization of
Yeah,
the conference.
that could be
We'll
interesting.
see. Maybe next.
Yeah,
Well, definitely, I'm going next year for
yeah.
sure. But lots to cover. Big week. So let's jump to the news.
So, first piece of news that I have is, I'm sure you would have seen this, Nick, but it's K-pop Demon Hunter that is now on Fortnite. So
Yes.
I think this is probably the partnership that to me feels like the quickest turnaround, because I think that they've always done like quite culturally relevant partnership, but never like that. Never on an IP that literally just exploded in the last few months. So this felt like a really like even more culturally relevant, but also very quick turnaround for Fortnite.
Normally,
Um,
it takes about a year.
yeah, at least 6 months. Like, yeah, a year to 6 months to at least have this kind of like big partnership. Because here, on top of having the skins of the three main characters being on Fortnite, which makes complete sense. There's also the IP that is coming to UEFN. I wonder if it's because of their partnership with Netflix, where now they can be a little bit more reactive to IPs that are really relevant to their audience, and now they can essentially have access. And there's a little bit of this like format of partnership that unlocks IP that are relevant to their audience a little bit quicker. There has been like overall, I would say that the announcement of the partnership, the announcement of the skin have been incredibly well received. There's been a few, I would say, disappointment where some people were saying that they could tell essentially that it felt a little bit rushed. When it comes to like the definition of the character, the movement as well. There's no jam, which is really weird, or emotes that's coming with it, which usually comes with this type of partnership. But something that I'm incredibly bullish about is less so, I think, the skin side. I think is obviously going to be quite profitable for Fortnite. But it's more the UEFN side, because I think you and I spoke about this before, but I'm really bullish to see like different IPs that are going to allow Fortnite to expand the audience.
Yeah, I agree. I was excited to see it and super fast. Normally this stuff takes a long time and a lot of planning, and the IP is even kind of older or more well known.
It's more top line. It's what you think is relevant. Like so Lego made sense. Squid
Right.
Game, like it made sense. Daft Punk's, like there are
Some
like
deeper
almost like
history.
legacy. Exactly. There's a bit of like a legacy around it where this is so an IP of the moment.
Yeah, well, I think that's what's cool about Fortnite is it's showing that it can be more reactionary, and kind of be more like alive and vibrant with and what's happening in society. So I think they pulled that off. I didn't realize that the packs didn't come with emotes, which makes sense because they probably had to rush and cut corners to get it out, but they did it. I think that's good.
Yeah.
So for my story is all about how the Gen AI social apps are here. I don't know if you've heard about this, but there's a lot of new Gen AI apps that kind of rolled out over the past week. And I think the world needs more AI slop, right?
Sure.
We've talked about Italian
We
brain rot.
need we need more AI stuff. You know,
Yeah, well, I think
more
you can't
more
avoid
Italian
talking
brain
about
rot and all
AI.
that.
But I think, like, we talked about, Italian brain rot on this show, and in general, a lot of people are creating video, and so I think the leaders and the AI companies behind this are trying to figure out, how can they show up or capitalize on this moment?
Mm-hmm.
So they have been rolling out these new apps, like Meta has their app Vibes, OpenAI released their app Sora, and Google DeepMind last week attached VO3, which is their Gen AI tech, into YouTube Shorts. So basically, all of these platforms are, you know, really focusing on giving users the ability to create Gen AI content
Mm-hmm.
and share it with people. And we're talking about random things people can make, like a dinosaur on a surfboard and like weirdo stuff. Also, taking celebrities and putting them in scenarios that they should not be involved in, which is obviously
God.
problematic for a lot of reasons.
Okay.
Um, then there's a lot of mixed review online. I think in general, people are like, I don't need this shit. I've already seen so much of it. Why do I need a place to see more?
Yeah.
Obviously, we know where we're at in the quality bar. Like these aren't amazing yet. They're still kind of janky and weird. But there's a lot of emphasis on it. And I jumped in to Vibes and I made a video and I'm going to share it with you and get your reactions. So I was curious, what would it be like if Nick and Albane went back in time and covered a video game conference and how marketing is affecting games back in 1990.
Oh
So
God.
have a look at this and let me know what you think.
Okay. Oh, that's quick. Oh my God.
So here we are. For the viewers at home, we're essentially on a trade show floor looking at some old machines. I'm in front of some old arcade, like large stand-up arcade machines. Albana is in the same way. And we've got people that look like they're
Yeah.
kind of maybe from the 90s.
You are blending in quite well, actually, with those glasses. It feels like you're about to go to like the city or something.
So we could like upload this to one of these platforms, like Vibes, and share it with all of our fans. I don't
Oh,
know.
this is so bizarre. I
It's
mean,
it's very strange, right?
yeah. You know what? I feel at least maybe that's interesting. I think my thing with those AI videos is that I feel like I'm watching. I don't know. I don't. I'm missing the creativity of it. Um,
Right. It's you have very little control. You can't
exactly. And
get
I
super
just
deep. It's kind of
I already
reactionary
feel
to what
like
you're feeding it.
TikTok has brought like a sort of like a copy and paste content. So like that's kind of the recipe of this app, right? Is like once you find a format that works that has gone viral, you have a lot of creators that redo the same thing or like repeat the same format that has worked in the past. And it's not that I'm against AI, like I'm all for it. I think I'm pleading for like those creative minds to create something that's a little bit different and interesting because I just find it um I don't know, not really entertaining, and I do worry about the future of these apps if the content is so repetitive and not as engaging as it used to be. Um like people are gonna disconnect. And that could be good because that means they might end up consuming different kind of content that are like, more immersive and more gaming, etc. Maybe that would lead more into
Yeah,
like
maybe that leads us in the right direction.
that in the right direction anyway. But I just find like social media platform like Instagram, TikTok to be like so uninspiring, and YouTube starting to be there as well, especially like their short stuff. It's just, again, it's like I don't find it as interesting as they used to be before. They used to be a bit more like diversity of content, different kind of creators as well. Like there used to be a little bit more creativity. I just find it a bit dull at the moment.
Well, this is
But
definitely
maybe this
making it.
is my millennial cap
Yeah.
speaking and
Well,
generational speaking.
maybe this is going to make it even more dull because a lot of this content is flat or generic or repeated. But my big critique about this is like, why are we making another social app just to house all of this Gen AI slop content? Aren't we trying to make the Gen AI so good that it's passable and feels real? In which case, shouldn't it just live in the social apps we already use?
Yeah, but maybe it could also be that Meta is aware that some people are disconnecting and like are starting to see those content and disconnecting from their app, so they rather maybe for now separate it was while the content is still like being. I'm not sure. I don't know. It feels weird for them to like start a completely new app, because honestly, who wants to download another app on their phone?
You want vibes in your life, trust me.
But I'm not sure. Maybe they're just testing out to see like what kind of content is it worth to open the floodgates in what is our most profitable app, is which is Instagram and Facebook. So maybe they don't want to open it yet, and testing for it first. But let's see.
Let's keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
All right, what's your next story?
Next story, which I thought was quite interesting, is quite short, but it is Netflix that gave indicators that they are going to start again to build their own game, but leveraging AI. So there's a role currently that is going for Netflix, where they're looking for a director of generative AI for games. Now we know that, I believe it was last year, maybe the year before, they made the in-game studio team redundant. So there's two sides essentially of their strategy. One is the IP licensing, where they license game that are already existing and they have it available on on their app. The other initially was for them to start creating their own game with their own IP. Something that we thought they were going to remove as a strategy, no longer pursue, but now it sounds like they're reopening that door, but taking the AI approach, by hiring this euro that's going, by the way, if anyone is interested, this is the US salary for you, 840,000 per year. So great
Which is not
salary.
as much as the Gen AI image job that they
I'm
posted
sure.
for
Yes,
last
yes,
year. That
yes.
was more in the 950 range.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I mean, won't spit on it though, but like it's US salaries for you. I'm kind of skeptical about how in games is going to evolve within that platform, with UGC platform becoming the model that everyone wants to engage with. So I do have a bit of a question mark on what are their intent there, and how is that going to actually impact or make their IP in between launches more engaged with. So I don't know what your thoughts are.
My thoughts are, I think it's really important for Netflix to get into gaming in a broader sense. I mean, it's like a media empire, right? They're doing like IRL stuff, they're doing licensing, they're doing tons of distribution. Why aren't they also like crushing gaming? But it's easier said than done. It's not
Yeah.
like you just flip a switch and all of a sudden you can make tons of games for your IP. So it's an uphill battle, and maybe
Yeah.
this is one step to trying it. I don't know how successful this will be, but I don't think they should give up on gaming. They're a big enough, cool enough company
But they're
to
not
own
giving
that.
up. They are in UGC platform, so they've done, I feel like, the right like strategic partnership. That's what they've done essentially, and they've leveraged the UGC platform as like a marketing channel for IPs that are currently either going live, or they want to like keep momentum around it because there's another season coming in. We saw that happening with Squid Game. But I think what they're trying to do now is create their own game. And like what we're seeing right now in the market is that this is not a model that it's very difficult to launch your own IP or your own game and have people play now. Like that AAA game, like one time game, I feel like doesn't work as well. And I think
Yeah.
where we see success is the UGC side. So that was more my question mark on like what is the intent here.
We
But
shall see.
yeah, what's final
My
story
last
from you?
story, and it's a fun one.
Ooh,
So Meta's plan to leverage AI to fully automate the advertising industry. That is a scary statement. And let
bold.
me start by reading a quote that Zuckerberg said recently in an interview. I think he said, "In the not too distant future, we want any business to just tell us what objective they are trying to achieve, how much they're willing to pay, connect their bank account, and then we just do the rest." So I think that there's really no need for agencies and production companies to create advertising in the vision that he, has in his head. Um, and then I would ask, people might be wondering, like, why is Meta, a technology company, putting such a focus on this advertising stuff and not the technology? Well, the advertising is paying 97% of the company's revenue,
Yeah,
according to studies last year. So they have to take it
they're an
seriously.
yeah. No, for sure. They're an ad business.
That is
I think what's weird now from what you're saying is that they're looking at where before they used to be they used to allow you to connect with their huge audiences. What's interesting is that now they're also looking at the production and the creative side, which was always owned by the agencies and the production
yeah.
companies.
Well, they're trying to gobble up the entire ecosystem and have it all happen in one place. And so they've released these tools that I'll talk through briefly. There's a new tool called Business AI, and that's going to be available to small and mid-sized businesses in the US right now. And basically, what it does is it leverages AI to scrape all the brands' advertisements, their social posts, and their website. So it learns and understands the brand. And
Mhm.
then it creates interactive digital shopping experiences where customers who access those can chat with a bot, they can browse items, they can add products to their cart and check out directly within that platform. They don't have to even leave. They can also embed this technology into the company's website itself, so it can just run off the company's own space, and it can basically take a bunch of data that's collected, and then it can have like suggested campaign performance improvements, and
Uh-huh.
basically give you ideas of how you should change your campaign to be more successful. And they haven't told us what the price of this is going to be yet. There's another tool that they're rolling out. They already have this thing called Advantage Plus, which is Meta's automated media buying platform, but now it's getting a bunch of AI features. So you can do Gen AI video inside of that to create ads. You can add whatever music you want, dubbing, video enhancement, um, and then uh, personal based image generation that tailors to customers' personas, and even AI powered stickers for call to action in stories and reels.
Yeah.
Um, so basically, it's just studying everything and then creating it for you. And then to go one step further, even on Facebook, Creator Discovery API, and Instagram Creator Marketplace, they're basically identifying creators to partner with and just pairing you up. So I guess my first question for you would be, are we doomed?
I don't think so because I feel like, I maybe I'm being overly optimistic today, but I do feel like even before, like a brand could go directly to Meta if they wanted to have like their account, like a canvas in there, buy media what they wanted to do. But I feel like this is like agencies will always have a space in order to, like some brands just don't want to have to like deal with all of that. And
Yeah.
especially I think what's coming here, which I think is really exciting, is that we probably are coming to a space where we are going to get more personalized content. Meaning that like before you had to be quite, if you had like one assets that you had to do, you had to be quite broad about who your target audience was. Where this might allow brands to be even more targeted, being able to like when they're saying that you'll be able to do customer profile content. Like this is really exciting, and I think this is when it becomes like the nuances of the content might be even more relevant for that person. So I think that is really exciting, but you still need, the creative agencies, you still need the creative to tell you how we're going to speak to that consumer.
And what is cool? This is an oversimplification. This is an automation of all the roles, which is coming from an informed place that makes total sense. Like what do young people like? What are they interested in? Where are they shopping, right? You put it all together and then something gets printed out of the machine and says they want this. And like if you just execute that, I have a feeling that, it's just not going to resonate or hit as hard as what the best agencies in the world are doing.
No, for
They
sure. And
understand culture broadly,
at the end of the day, this is it could, if they have like pre-made stuff, like this is still like, it will bring you as far as like a template. And we see that for websites. We see like if you use a template, like great, it will get you that far. But I think it's like if you're really building a brand, like really established brands want to have like their unique touch, their unique tone of voice, and that is still with the agencies. I think we're probably it's going to be the same thing that we saw with social media, where at some point, like some agencies were no longer going to like the biggest production company to be able to do one TikTok, because what's the point? You're asking the community to do it because you have to create more and more content. But I feel like what this is opening is that now you have to create content and create it almost by like the individual, and like maybe we'll be like not far where tomorrow you're like you might end up being served the kind of ad that you did, where they know exactly your like yeah they know your profile image, and they integrate you and like your family within an ad, and this is what your life could
Creepy.
be like. But no, but maybe we're not that far if you allow it to be like that. Um, but let's see. I don't think that there's going to be such a big pivot with the way that the agency relationship and the production company are like working with brands. I still always need those kind of things. It's just the scope, the type of briefs that they might get is going to differ a little bit. And I find it quite exciting and a little bit scary, but I find it quite exciting that we're going to be in a world where you can have a lot more customization and the brand
Yeah.
speaking directly to consumer, and it feels personalized.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, I'll just finish the thought on this is an oversimplification, but Gen AI and AI in general will help everyone move faster and more targeted. So you have to be leveraging this as part of your media mix or your kind of your thought process.
Yeah,
And if you're not using this at all, you will be left in the dust. So I think it's all about the fine balance.
exactly.
But while we still have a job, why don't we move on to our real-time review?
For this week real time review, I am incredibly excited because I am in the middle of watching this show. First things first, I've actually searched for the translation in the US, because this is a British show, but that was then sold to, I believe it was 40 different countries, maybe less. But the one in the US is called The Great British, no, yeah, The Great British Baking Show. Is that
Yes,
what it's
I
called?
know it. I've seen it.
Oh, okay, great. But then do you have is it Americans that are participating, or do you rewatch the
I
British
think
one?
they've done both. They've got
Oh,
the
okay.
English one that you can watch, and there's like an American version. I've seen
Okay. So
some episodes of both of them.
I mean, the thing about this show is like the way that is being, sent to other countries is that it looks exactly the same. Like the French
Yeah.
one, the intro is the same, the tent is the same, the fridge is the same. So this is actually a very easy replicable
Yes.
show when you want to put it on Roblox. Because I think the first question mark that I had was, well, this is a British show. Like, is this going to actually work for, a global audience? And it does, because I think the concept of the show is very similar, across countries. So the Great British Bake Off has come to Roblox. That was created by our friends at Metavisions, who we had on the podcast. And I'm really excited by this. So I'm a big fan of the show. This, like, the account on Roblox was done by the BBC, but it's broadcasted by Channel 4. So not too sure like what was the licensing right for this one, but essentially the whole thing is that you have a theme which works well with the show, and then instead of having the judges vote for your cake, it's the whole participant that are on your server that are voting for your cake. I did try to I failed miserably. It was actually a lot tougher than I thought,
Well,
because
can you
there's a
bake
lot
in
of
real life? Are
so
you
yeah.
drawing any personal experience?
Well, I do bake in real life, but guess what? Baking in Roblox is actually a lot more difficult. And I thought that's what I really liked, is that actually it wasn't like super easy to make some of the cakes. So for example, we'll show you the visuals, but for example, when you're putting your cake in the oven, they show you an indicator of where you have to stop like the timer, but then they remove it, so you have to remember a few things to be able to like not burn your
Ah,
cake. Same for the eggs, super hard, the eggs to crack, because you've got to crack the eggs exactly at the edge of your bowl. And if it's in it, you fail. If it's outside, you fail. So there's a bit of
So there's
like,
skill.
yeah, skills, Roblox skills. So there is definitely a bit of a learning age. So what was good about this is that, first of all, when you arrive, it's incredibly, again, I'm a fan of the show, so maybe that's why I was so excited. It might be different if you're not. But it's like the exact replica of the tents. So the fridge is there, the British flag is there. Like, it just looks exactly the same. So that was really exciting to just wander around and see it up close. And also they've managed to bring the stress of the show that I'm sure the participant gets, because you have such a small amount of time to do your cake and decorate it and everything, that I just got really anxious. And I was like, oh my God, I need to do really well. And it brought like a lot of this, like, I didn't get that much stress with Dress to Impress, but with this one, I just felt like that
The
really
pressure is
brought a lot.
on. Stakes
Yeah,
are
the pressure
high.
was
You
on,
know
so
the
I really
show.
liked this. And again, the mechanic, because it was similar to Dress for Impress, is very quick and easy to understand, like how that works. The bad side, I would say, is that there is a bit of a pay to win mechanic. So there are ways that essentially you can extend your time by 30 seconds, or you have stuff where you can't fail your cake, like you can't fail the cooking,
Mm.
etc. So it's a little bit disappointing. I mean,
You can pay off
every
the
gamer
judges
have
in the real
their
world.
take on that, on like the pay to win model. I'm more of a grind, or I don't really like the pay to win model. The other thing that I thought could have been improved is the F-talks. So in many cases, and you'll see in the footage, I arrive halfway. So people, when you arrive on a server, people are already halfway through baking your cake, and you have like 10 seconds left to actually do your own thing, and then you end up losing one round, like by default, because you're so late. And then the other thing that I was like, again, that was my question mark, but that's more a question to you. I always wonder. So at the moment, I believe they are on 100K. I'll have to double check of visits. So not massive, but it's just launched. My only questions would be, what is I'm a bit skeptical when you're launching a show that is mainly popular, and maybe again that might be me being wrong, but I feel like this is probably more of a UK based IP that's more known there. And I'm always a bit skeptical when you launch your own environment that is always going to be global on Roblox. What is going to be your reach and the longevity of your game? Because I don't know if there is this like fandom around the show in the US and other countries. Like there's a real fandom around the IP here, that I don't know has translated in other countries.
Well, what
Um,
about like for young people? Young people in Europe and in Britain, do they like the show?
I'm
Or
not
is it an
sure
older
that I'm not
audience?
sure if this is because this is like linear TV, so I don't know if this is really a show that they're familiar with. Um, I've got a bit of a question mark here, but again, that could be the reasoning why they've done it, is because they wanted to get the show discovered, and then for them to then watch it on linear TV with like on their, like, with their parents or like families. But and then when it comes to the innovation side, like not particularly. I just thought it was quite interesting. We've seen Metavision retranslating popular shows on Roblox before, and other UGC platforms. So that wasn't some like a concept that was new. Um, so when it comes to the actual like mechanics of it, there was nothing, that stood out to me. No connection as well to the show, which was a little bit disappointing, because I thought there could have been like a very easy Easter eggs, because we don't know what challenge are coming for the next week. So it could have been something like an Easter egg that tells you what the technical challenge is going to be next week, and you can already train ahead of the play. I don't know. They could have done like little things that would have made playing the game a little bit more valuable if you also watch the show. But that was my only like little like comment on that.
Nice. And I think the core loop and game mechanic is something that people can fall into and
Oh my
pick up
God, yes, it's so
easily. So
addictive.
it's pretty smart.
Yeah.
But let's keep this moving. Next up, we've got your interview with Christian Lau.
That's right. So next up, we have our interview with Christian Lau, CTO of LAFC. Let's jump into it.
Let's go.
I'm delighted to welcome today Christian Lau, CTO of LAFC. Christian has been with the company for 8 years, and during this time, he successfully positioned LAFC as one of the most innovative, tech forward sports organizations. On today's episode, we'll deep dive into the evolution of fans' experience and their expectation, and how the club has leveraged immersive media, gaming on and off the field to provide the audience with a new seamless way to engage with the brand. Christian, welcome to Brands and Play. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Appreciate you having me on.
Of course, yeah, we're really excited. There's a lot to unpack today, and I wanted to jump straight right into your role because maybe not everyone is familiar with what you do, specifically in a football setup. So, can you tell us a little bit more about your role at LAFC and how it impacts fans' experiences inside and outside, I guess, the field?
Yeah, absolutely. I am the head of technology for Los Angeles Football Club and BMO Stadium. I started working on that project back in 2017. I worked on the construction of that
Of the
facility
stadium,
as
yes,
well as our training facility, which was a labor of love, and
I can
got that
imagine.
sorted out, transitioned to running it. And so now, my main focus is guest experience, making sure that our customers have access to the best possible technology. Things that eliminate friction, get them into the building quickly, allow
Mhm.
them to buy, food and beverage items, beer, very popular as you'd imagine.
A must.
Um, yeah, merchandise, all these things. And so there's a lot of thought that goes into the technology stack behind these types of systems and services. And so that's really my primary focus. Year over year, always trying to improve the experience, making sure that our guests have, access to all the things that they don't even think about. It's all
Yeah.
very approachable technology, um, or we like to think. We have to iterate over time. Sometimes we do things that, autonomous retail, for example, big push for us over the last couple years, where you don't really interact with people. You just self checkout, that kind of stuff has been very popular. But it just took a little bit of time,
Of
I
course.
think, for people to understand the process. Not that much time, but it's worked out pretty well. Everybody seems to be happy with it, and we'll just continue to innovate on that type of technology.
Of technology. Yeah, I think what comes up a lot when looking at LAFC is the amount of work that's gone into making essentially every touch point very seamless and as little friction as possible from the moment that they arrive to the moment that they're in the stadium engaging with any touch points. I was wondering if there was any insights that you could already share with us today on how I guess their expectation of fan has evolved over the years. You've been in the company for 8 years. Has there been any changes on what their expectations are, I guess, inside but also outside of the field and how they want to engage with the team?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yes, SAS is a partner of ours. We focus heavily, on data and data strategy. You think about, all the touch points we have with our guests, and really just I would say our overall fan base, whether they're in the venue or out of the venue. I think we have a pretty good idea what these customers, our supporters, look like. We understand what they like, what they dislike. A lot of what we focus on is really, the sentiment of our customer, and so a lot of the time and energy, effort, and frankly, money that we invest in some of these platforms is to understand what we're doing right, what we could improve on,
Hmm.
validating what we think we know, because you do a lot of stuff, and if you're in a vacuum, you don't really understand what that looks like, to the end user. And so we definitely spend an extraordinary amount of time working through that just to see,
What
to
works?
listen, and we listen. We do a lot of that. So we survey after all of our events, subsets of our customers, and not the same people every time because I think they'd get tired of that pretty quick. But we do like to
Another
survey
survey.
people.
Yeah.
Exactly. But we have a good response rate there, and, we just wanna hear from people,
Mm,
the good and the bad, and so that's actually worked out pretty well for us, and it really informs our strategy as we continue through a season,
to
we
evolve,
don't,
yeah.
yeah, we're always evolving, and we'll pivot, we'll make changes on the fly if we have to do it.
Yeah, and you were very just to zoom in a little bit on some of the stuff that you've done within the gaming space. You were very early on to activate within this field. So I think it was back in 2021 that you launched your first skin on Fortnite, and being one of the first teams actually to activate on there. And I also know that in your stadiums as well, you've launched your own arcade with your partnership with Bandai Namco called
Mhm.
Level Up. So I'm just and you're on top of that. Sorry, like there's so many things actually that you've done. There's also the esport community that you've created. For essentially fans to be able to engage more in a esport competitive manner with other fans. Can you tell us a little bit more about how did that fit in within your marketing strategy as part of like some of the learnings that you've taken on?
Well, it's interesting. I would tell you that there really wasn't much of a strategy there. Um,
Test and
you
learn.
know, it was, frankly. I mean, we have some of our ownership group is heavily into entertainment, into gaming. So I think that comes naturally to us. I think a lot of folks within LAFC, we are gamers. I spent many an hour during the pandy playing Call of Duty.
Oh,
That was my pickup game when you hadn't, couldn't leave the house, right?
yeah,
Um, but going back to Fortnite, we did some interesting things with those guys a few years ago. We did a pro-am tournament at what
yeah,
is now BMO Stadium, which was what was that? Ninja and Marshmallow competed. That was a
that's
fun
right.
day. Um, and then naturally, like, yes, LAFC has a skin in Fortnite. Like all that stuff just kind of came together organically, which is always good, right? There wasn't really much of a strategy behind it. We've had players in EMLS that competed in FIFA, which went away. That's now what
EFC.
EAFC.
I got bought. I don't know if you saw for 55 billion. That's been
I
confirmed
saw.
yesterday.
Phenomenal, yeah, they went private, which is great. But yeah, so we do all these things, and I think it's just a natural progression of our brand.
Mm,
There's some things in the future that we're looking to do as well, but it's, maybe there's a bit of strategy to it, but I think a lot of it's just, it's stuff that we appreciate, it's things that we enjoy doing,
hmm.
as, like, genuine, like, gamers, right? Like, there's things that we
Yes.
focus on because we actually live in that realm, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's the kind of stuff you just wanna see happen.
Yeah, and I guess as we know, more and more people are spending time within those worlds. So this is another way to engage with the brand and express the fandom. I'm curious actually where you think maybe in the future that would fit in. Do you see gaming and those virtual spaces, or even like immersive media, sorry, like AR, take on a place more in the awareness phase to be able to maybe acquire new fans or get them a bit more familiar with the sport team? Or do you think this is more something that you'll leverage or have seen success in a more button funnel objective?
I think things are still playing out a little bit. We, one of our first major platforms that we built out was, a virtual reality, um, you know, of what is now BMO Stadium, and I say that because we had a different naming rights partner prior when we first opened, but now BMO Stadium. Um, and so back in 2017, we built this amazing VR world of BMO Stadium that allowed us
Mm-mm.
because it wasn't built, like, we were still in construction, and so we needed a way to show, prospective season ticket members what the view was gonna look like from their seats. We wanted people to see what our club spaces look like,
Yeah.
what potential, sponsors, what their entitlements might be, that kinda thing, and so we built this thing out, and it was extraordinary, and we still have it. It's not active now, but we still have it, and so that was, something that we thought about in the past is how do we get into, what is now like digital twin, right? So we're looking
Yes.
at
Yeah.
at some opportunity there, and so a lot of that stuff is, um, the technology's there, but when you think about the end result and then the consumer side of it, what's the value proposition for
That's
people?
right.
And so it's a nice to have, it's cool. We've done some things in augmented reality as well, but, the customers just aren't there necessarily. Our fans, like, we look at these things and we think, "Okay, this is an additive
Uh-huh.
experience, to a point," but then when you actually ask somebody, because I told you we survey people, but we also do design sessions with our season ticket holders as
Amazing.
well, and we'll sit in a room and have a discussion about what's working, what's not working, and so usually what they'll tell us is they just want to watch football, um, and drink beer and hang with their friends, and it's great that you have this other technology, but I'm not getting out of my seat to go do that. I'm not gonna be on my phone the entire time.
Yeah.
And so we just have to figure that out. We look
Yeah.
at a lot of different platforms, and you have things that are additive. The second, that you have your screen, that kind of stuff. But I think, unlike, because I go to a lot of sporting events, and you go to a baseball game, you go to like an NFL football game, and a lot of people are on their phones, but they're also passing the time through plays, through commercial breaks,
Yes.
all that stuff. We don't have that, right? So we
Yeah, football is a bit, yeah, they actually play.
Yeah, and people are focused, and sure, people will
Yes.
bring out their phone to, like, take a photo or shoot a video or whatever, but, they're not sitting on their phone, like, captivated by something we've delivered in a
Yes.
digital realm. They'd rather be watching what's in front of them, and so there's gotta be a balance there, and, you know, there's nothing magical today.
Mhm.
Um, Maybe in the future will
Yes.
be something, and if, in home as well, right? We think about what do people do when they're not at the stadium.
Makes sense. And I guess I love because you mentioned that you're also a gamer and you're looking at as well like what other teams are doing. I would love to hear you take a bit of a step back on the wider sports industry and what's been different strategies I guess that teams have taken. I think we've seen some teams going as well on platforms like Roblox and really taking that more as a less as a one-off activation, but more as a social hub where they can get new fans or existing fans involved off season. Um, I'm curious less about unless you can tell us, but I'm curious to think about what do you think about this strategy, and do you think there's going to be a world in which people are starting to buy their seasonal tickets via platforms like Roblox, and that's going to be the new touch point, the new social touch point that every team needs to have?
Yeah, actually, I do. I think in time, Roblox, other platforms of their kind, I think will prove to be, um, a completely different channel for, um, fans of sports teams,
Hmm.
clubs. And I think it'll be really interesting, but it will take some time. And, we are looking at those types of opportunities. I think we actually have some pretty good ideas about how we would do it. Um, but right now we're just focused like in the third dimension because we've got a lot of things going on. We're still in season right now. We're
Yes,
we're
of course.
playing you know, we just made the playoffs, so we're excited for that. We have Sun Wong Min we signed, from Tottenham. Uh, the South Korean captain is like our guy now, and so that's been really good for the club, and so we're just trying to figure out how do we work through his arrival? How do we make our product better in the stadium? How do we elevate all of our digital assets, our social channels, those kind of
Hmm.
things? And so we're just kind of working on that and then getting into the playoffs and hopefully having a really deep run in the playoffs would be nice. Um, and then we do it all over again next year. So
Yeah.
we're working through 2026 and
Wonder.
so there's just a lot, but
Yeah.
I will tell you there is a strategy being developed, like, behind the scenes on where we're gonna be, in the next, let's just call it 3 to 5 years. We did
Okay.
the same thing for gaming, sports betting, which is not legal in California today, but the idea that you could have mobile sports betting, these are things that we've been focused on since about 2018, and we have a full plan that's fully determined and ready to bake, we just can't implement it, but we know
Hmm.
what we would do when the time comes. So we'll develop these things and just
Yeah.
basically have them in the can, as they say.
Yeah. And I guess, is the right approach in a way, because I think there's some companies that look at Roblox as a one-off activation, and that's it. And I think the reality is, especially for sports entities, when you're looking at creating social hubs, this is like launching a new Instagram. It's not about just posting once and that's it, you've done your job. And I think it's the right approach of it takes time to be able to create the strategy, and having a long-term view is really the right way. And I can imagine with all of the other technologies as well that you're working on, that's one step at a time, one season at a time. Um,
Yeah, for sure. And so with Roblox specifically, like, I mentioned, like, we have a pretty good idea what we want to do there, but part of that is you can't set and forget it. Like, you're going to deploy something,
exactly.
right? We're going to launch it. It's going to be really cool, but then we have to maintain it. And so
That's
that's
right.
part of our process is how do you continue an engagement in Roblox that's meaningful to end users, to fans over the course of its life cycle,
Of a
whatever
whole
that is,
season or
right?
several season. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's the thing. A lot of
And it's
companies throw it out there and it's done, and it's
I
just like,
agree.
oh,
And
so
it's the same. I think the reality is that these platforms are exactly the same as social. What's trending, like it's like trying to create a whole plan on TikTok and say like we're gonna do this trend on this month, this trend on this month. It changes constantly. So I think having a team that's also flexible in their approach and understanding of the platform is key. I've got one last question to close our interview as it's coming to an end, but um utopian, what do you think, thinking long term vision, what do you think in 10 years is going to be the nature of fan engagement for a team like LAFC?
that's a really good question, and I would say probably what you see today, um, but probably more elevated. I think a lot of things will remain the same. We thought we'd have flying cars by now, and here we are. I think we're all lied to when we were young. Everybody
I
said these
agree.
things.
The fifth
Um,
element. Utopia didn't happen.
it was all lies. But so I think it'll be a lot of what you see today, but I do think in the next 10 years, you'll start to see more uh, from us anyway, focus on digital twin. You're going to see more things in the digital realm. I think by then, Roblox, all these things will be fully baked and viable, and
Mm,
people will be using them. And, when you have, you know, we're heavily focused on South Korea right now. We got, Sunny. And I think you're in London, so you know who I'm talking about. But like,
yes, yeah.
so we have that now. And so now we're working through how do we activate in Asia, these types of things. And I think because of those audiences coming in now, it makes Roblox and other digital platforms more compelling because they're
Yes,
not
of
always
course.
going to be able to come to LA. But now all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute. Now I have access to these things in the digital realm that before it might not have been relevant to a lot of people. And so that makes it more compelling for us to pursue.
Thank you so much, Christian. That was such a really insightful conversation. I really appreciate your point of view as well on, how your team has evolved over the years, and I guess the play that some of these immersive techs are gonna take into the future of fans engagement. So I really appreciate your time today.
Yeah. Thank you. It's been nice. Good to meet you guys. Hit me up on
Great to have you.
LinkedIn and Insta or whatever. That would be great to connect.
Yes, absolutely. We'll go back to the rest of the show now.
So, Alban, I missed this week's interview and I did not hear it. So, what was your takeaway?
So key takeaway is, so we know we've approached different areas of immersive marketing tech to be able to engage with fans. When we approach, like I think Christian had a really good input on gaming. Like while this is a focus for them, I think it takes a lot of resources, effort, and this is like not, you do one activation and that's it. And I think the way that they're looking at it is the right way, which is a marketing channel in which it's a long-term plan. So they have a long-term plan around this, and it's more of a what's what first thing they have to do, and I'm really excited to hear what they have plans on gaming. What was really interesting as well was their approach to AR and augmented reality. when you're looking at football match, and essentially how do you leverage tech to be able to provide more content to your audience while they're at the match. Something as well that I thought I didn't think about, but football is very different to American football, where there's not as much dwell time, where you have a lot more time to connect with your audience during an American football match because there's so many adverts, so many dwell time for them to be on their phone, where football is a lot more engaged. So there is a lot more, I guess, of thought process around this. And because it is like really seasonal, it's also like how can they leverage that tech to be able to engage with them outside of the game. So a really interesting conversation with Christian on this one.
Nice. I love to see when sports teams are leaning into immersive tech and the
Yeah.
gaming space, and seems like that club knows what's up. So thanks for doing that interview. But let's keep it moving, and it's this week is my week to speak my mind. So let's go to hit, miss, and bet. Okay, so let's start with my hit. My hit this week is the Lego Game Boy set. Have you seen this?
No.
Check this out. I got one.
Oh
So
my God.
this is a replica of the
OG.
OG Game Boy that
Yeah.
came out in 1989, which was one of my first like mobile gaming systems that I had as a kid. And it's
Super
all
cool.
built out of Legos. It's designed for 18 plus audience. They're leaning into nostalgia. It looks 100% like the OG model,
It
even the
looks cool.
screen. Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, I just like Lego can't they can have all my money. I don't know what like
Did you know, like, was it an impulse buy or did you go to the Lego store for it?
it was an impulse because I saw it on the internet like 3 months ago and they're like this is
Yeah.
coming and on day 1 I was like pre-ordered now, boom. And I was like didn't even think about it and it just showed up like last weekend. So now I'm going to build it with my kids. I think it's
Oh,
super
that's so
dope.
cool.
So Lego continuing to win. I love to see it. My miss is Meta's rollout of the Meta Ray-Ban display glasses. Like, I don't know what is going on, but it is like a cluster. It's not easy to get these things.
No.
I have tried to book I booked an appointment, and I went in and I found out I booked the wrong kind of appointment. This is an
Ah,
appointment for the AI,
well, that's
um
on you then.
well, it's confusing. The site is confusing. I talked to the guy at the Ray-Ban store, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, there's like 10 people that come in every day saying your same thing." So it's like,
Okay.
okay, it wasn't
You know on
fully
your
on
own
me.
then.
So then I had to like book another appointment when, by the way, they're all sold out in LA until like November or December. So we called, we found a way to get me into this other store. I get into the Ray-Ban store. They're, of course, sold out because they don't have glasses anymore. Everyone's sold out. That you can't get a pair. But I was able to do the demo.
Okay,
And the
cool. What did you think?
well, the reason why they have you do the demo is because they have to fit you. So you can't just order this online. The only way to order these glasses is to go into a facility, to a
Right.
store, get fitted, and then you can purchase it if it's in stock. Mine wasn't in
Right.
stock. So, yeah, fitted the two sizes of glasses. So you have to pick the one that fits your head best. That's the
Okay,
easy
gotcha.
part. Then the hard part is there's 3 different wristband sizes. So you have to like figure out the one that fits your wrist properly because it's reading the micro movements in your wrist. So I got the right fit. And then you can walk through the demo of the things that you can do and how the functionality works. I will say for the screen and the finger functionality, it's very intuitive. It
It's
works
great,
very
right?
well.
I loved it.
Yeah, it's cool. So I was stoked and I put my order in. So now like I'm on the wait list. Um, but I just think in general, this rollout is like super slow and clunky. There's a lot of confusion. I talked to the Ray-Ban guy. He said that they can only do about 10 demos a day or less for
Oh,
like, then they service like a chunk of Los Angeles. And I think they only got like 20 units shipped to them for sale. So
wow. I mean,
I,
consider yourself lucky. I don't know when it's gonna hit the UK. So, you're already like in the lucky like group that get to even get a chance to buy them.
I
We
mean,
don't even
I'm
have
not the
them
kind
here.
of person that like lines up down the street for the new thing that comes out, and I've had to jump through so many hoops just to get here. So I imagine all the people that haven't even thought about this yet, they won't even be able to get this until next year. So
Yeah,
my question
yeah.
for you is like, is this hype Or is this created scarcity? Or is this just like a limited run? Like, what is happening in your
I feel
opinion?
like at MetaConnect they did mention that it was going to be like a slow beta release. So I'm not surprised that it's, and also when you have so many different partners, it's Ray-Ban and it's like it's Luxottica doing the thing. Like there's a lot probably to coordinate. So I'm not, and we saw the demo as well not going as well as possible. So I wonder if they also that had an issue on like not having to release it initially, if they had to like change stuff. So I don't know. Like after MetaConnect, I was not expecting like all shelves are like completely. They haven't done any marketing around it, so I feel like this is probably more for the people at MetaConnect that were there, or like some people that are involved in like the industry, but they haven't done like I haven't seen any campaigns around it. I feel like they're probably keeping it quite low key because they know that once it's out, like maybe more people are going to want to do it. But I think right now it feels like it's more targeted to developers that want to have like their hands on it to
Yeah,
create apps.
I
But they
agree.
probably should have done like something even more exclusive where they then like
Or
just
like
give it to
only invited
developers.
app or like app
Yes, exactly,
developers
through
or like early
invitation.
technologists. And that's my bet is that I think this may flop, for
You
that
think?
first run. Well, I just don't think, look, it's one small screen and it's cool, but I think that the broader audience is going to go, wow, we have AR now. We have amazing visuals. And then they're going to put it on their face and they're going to be like, oh, I can just do that. That's like not enough for me. So I
Yeah.
feel like it's a step in the right direction. I'm a big fan. I'm definitely going to get my set, but I think that like it's a prototype release. It's not a full
But this
vision
is why,
release.
this is why I feel like they need to have more developers to create apps for it. Because you're right, right now it's only Meta owned app and Spotify and I think other partnership that they had, but it's not enough. Like and the games, for example, that they had, it's nice, but it's not a real game. Like you don't even have Google Map on there. So I just feel like they need to have it's an early beta release, and I wonder if they're gonna do less noise now so that there's more cool stuff that are being built for it, and then
Yeah.
push it.
Well, they are opening up the SDK in the next coming like month or two. So
Yeah.
app developers will start to make stuff, although they won't be able to leverage the display side. It's only going to be the audio-based apps with the functionality of the
Oh,
glasses. But whatever, it's a step in the right direction. Long story short, it's just an early release. It's
it
almost
is.
like this spectacles, that it is only developed for these devs to be messing around with. It's
Yeah.
that. Only I think they have marketed it as, something that the
Mm-mm.
masses can buy. I just don't think it's ready for that. I do think going into like Q3, Q4 of next year, the generation 2 of these glasses with a lot of
Maybe.
apps that are available for download, that's going to be a bigger moment. That's going to have a wider release.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the numbers will be low on this.
Yeah. Yeah. Safe bet. I feel like that's what happened with their initial beta one, right? Like the Meta Ray-Ban one. Like the first one wasn't the one that got the most. It was the second
Exactly.
edition that
And I think they know that. And I
safe
think that's
bet.
probably why they
Yes.
haven't made billions of units and they're pushing it down everyone's throats
No.
because they know that.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the point. All right.
Cool.
Awesome show. Nice
Great
work.
week.
Thank you,
Yes.
everyone, for tuning in and listening for so many weeks, 35 weeks. We appreciate you.
And next week, we're really excited to have James Reveal, former executive editor at BBC. He's worked on many exciting projects on Roblox and Fortnite, so we can't wait to have him on the show.
Yes, he's a good dude. He's going to bring a lot of insights. That's it for this week. Edward, please read us out.
And that was Brands in Play. Thank you for joining the podcast where we explore immersive marketing and the people who are leading it. Co-hosted by Albane, Prioux and Nick Hill. Our show today was produced by myself, Evid Regu, with creative direction by Joey Jerder and Jawed Tasby, and audio engineering by Somran Kiyu, as well as a massive shout out to Ben Caro. Be sure to join us every week for brand new episodes.
The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views, policies, or positions of host employers. The information shared during this podcast is based on personal experience and publicly available information and is intended for informational purposes only. Any references to specific platforms, companies, or partnerships are made in a personal capacity and do not imply endorsement, partnership, or official association with any organization mentioned.